The neighbors complained about the smell. He blamed it on a broken sewer pipe. 29 families were about to learn the truth. Miles, ghost hunter here. Sometimes the monster does not lurk in the shadows. Sometimes he throws the block party. December 11th, 1978, Des Plaines, Illinois. A small pharmacy called Nissen Pharmacy sits at the corner of Toohey and Potter. The fluorescent lights inside hum against the winter dark. It is a Monday night. Temperature outside is 14 degrees. Inside the pharmacy, a 15-year-old boy named Robert Piest is finishing his shift. Robert works here after school. He stocks shelves, runs the register, makes small talk with the regulars. He has been working here for about 5 months. His co-worker later described him as the kind of kid who showed up early and never complained. Robert is a gymnast at Maine West High School. Compact build, strong for his age. He likes cars. He likes making money. Tonight, he is especially motivated because tomorrow is his mother's birthday, and he wants to buy her something nice. He has been thinking about it all week. At approximately 8:45 in the evening, Robert walks up to the pharmacy owner, Phil Torf, and says something that Phil will remember for the rest of his life. Robert tells Phil that a contractor wants to talk to him about a job, a real job, construction work, better pay than stocking shelves. The contractor is outside in the parking lot, waiting in his car. Phil says fine, go talk to him. Robert Piest walks out the front door of Nissen Pharmacy into the December cold. His jacket is still inside on the hook. He never comes back for it. At 9:15, Elizabeth Piest arrives at the pharmacy to pick up her son. She walks inside. Robert is not there. Phil tells her that Robert went out to talk to a man about a job. Elizabeth waits. 9:30, 9:45, 10 o'clock. Robert does not come back. Elizabeth Piest begins calling. She calls Robert's friends. She calls his brother. She calls the house. No answer. No one has seen him. No one has heard from him. It is now after 10 at night, 14 degrees outside. And her 15-year-old son walked out of a pharmacy without his jacket and vanished. Elizabeth calls the Des Plaines police at 10:15. This is the moment. This one phone call. Most missing person cases involving teenage boys in the late 1970s went exactly the same way. The police would take a report. They would assume the kid ran away. They would file it and move on. That is what happened dozens of times before across the Chicago suburbs. Dozens of mothers called. Dozens of reports were filed. Dozens of cases went cold. But Elizabeth Piest is different. She is not going to accept that her son ran away. She knows Robert. He would not leave without his jacket. He would not miss her birthday. He would not just vanish. And the detective who picks up the phone is different too. His name is Joe Kozenchak. Lieutenant. Des Plaines Police Department, 34 years old. Kozenchak does something that night that dozens of investigators before him failed to do. He listens. Elizabeth tells Kozenchak about the contractor, the man in the parking lot, the job offer. She does not know his name, but Phil Torf does. Phil had hired the man to remodel the pharmacy. The contractor had been in and out of the store for weeks. Everyone knew him. His name is John Wayne Gacy. Kozenchak runs the name through the system that same night, and the system gives him something back. A flag. John Wayne Gacy has a record, a conviction in the state of Iowa. 1968, sodomy involving a minor. 10-year sentence, served 18 months. Now Kozenchak has a missing 15-year-old boy who was last seen walking toward a convicted offender in a dark parking lot. He does not wait until morning. By midnight on December 11th, Des Plaines police are at John Wayne Gacy's front door, 8213 West Summerdale Avenue, Norwood Park Township. A quiet residential street, single-story ranch house, well-maintained lawn, 2-car garage, American flag out front, Christmas lights along the gutter. Gacy answers the door in a bathrobe. He is calm, polite. He is a large man, 5'9", over 200 pounds, thick hands, a wide face that smiles easily. He invites the officers inside. The house is warm, neatly kept. There is a bar in the living room, photographs on the walls, civic awards, a framed picture of Gacy shaking hands with First Lady Rosalind Carter at a Democratic Party event. The picture was taken less than a year ago. Secret Service cleared him for the meeting. Gacy tells the officers he does not know anything about Robert Piest. He says he was at the pharmacy earlier that evening, yes, but he left before 9. He says he went home, had dinner, watched television. He says he never spoke to the boy. He says all of this calmly. The officers leave, but Kozenchak does not close the file. Something is wrong. He can feel it. The conviction in Iowa, the timing, the jacket left behind, the mother who says her son would never run. Kozenchak puts a surveillance team on Gacy. Over the next 9 days, Des Plaines police follow John Wayne Gacy everywhere. They sit outside his house. They follow his black Oldsmobile. They watch him eat. They watch him drink. They watch him go to work. They watch him visit friends. And Gacy knows they are watching. He does not hide. He does not run. He waves at them. He invites the surveillance officers to dinner. He buys them coffee. He talks to them like old friends. He is the most relaxed suspect Joe Kozenchak has ever seen. During the surveillance, Kozenchak's team digs into Gacy's background, and what they find is a portrait that makes no sense. Or rather, it makes perfect sense from the outside and no sense at all from the inside. John Wayne Gacy is a respected member of the community. He runs PDM Contractors, a construction company that employs dozens of young men. He is active in the Norwood Park Township Democratic Party organization. He organizes street festivals, parades, block parties. He is the kind of man who shakes every hand and remembers every name. And then there is Pogo. Gacy performs as Pogo the Clown at children's birthday parties, hospital visits, charity events. He paints his own face, white grease paint, red lips curved into an exaggerated smile. He does magic tricks. He makes balloon animals. Parents love him. Children love him. He is generous with his time. Democratic Precinct Captain, JC's member. Businessman of the Year, 1978. Photographed with the First Lady of the United States. And underneath all of it, that conviction in Iowa. Kozenchak requests the Iowa file. It arrives on December 15th. The details are specific. In 1968, Gacy was living in Waterloo, Iowa, managing a string of Kentucky Fried Chicken restaurants owned by his father-in-law. He was 26 years old, married, 2 children, a pillar of the JCs. In May of '68, a teenager named Mark Miller told police that Gacy had lured him to his home, given him alcohol, and assaulted him. A second teenager came forward, then a third. Gacy was convicted of sodomy in December 1968 and sentenced to 10 years at the Iowa State Men's Reformatory in Anamosa. He served 18 months. His wife divorced him. He lost custody of his children. He moved back to Chicago. His father had died while he was in prison. Gacy told everyone in Illinois that he was starting over. In 1971, less than 2 years after his release, a teenager in Chicago filed a complaint against Gacy for picking him up at a bus station and assaulting him. The charges were dropped when the teenager failed to appear in court. In 1975, another young man told Chicago police that Gacy had assaulted him. An investigation was opened and then closed without action. In 1977, another complaint. A 19-year-old named Robert Donnelly told police that Gacy had held him captive, tortured him with a 2x4, and submerged his head in a bathtub repeatedly. Donnelly survived. He went to the police. The case was investigated. It went nowhere. In 1978, another young man filed a complaint. Jeffrey Rignall told police that Gacy had chloroformed him, taken him to a house, and assaulted him over several hours. Rignall escaped. He spent weeks driving around Chicago looking for Gacy's house. He found it himself. He gave the address to police, 8213 West Summerdale Avenue. The police filed the report. They did not follow up. 4 complaints. 4 young men who walked into police stations and said, "This man attacked me." 4 reports filed. 0 arrests. 0 searches. 0 warrants. John Wayne Gacy walked free every single time. And now, a 15-year-old boy had vanished from a parking lot. And the man who was standing in that parking lot had a history that stretched back 10 years across 2 states. Kozinchuk's team keeps watching. On December 14th, 3 days into the surveillance, Gacy invites 2 of the officers into his home. He is friendly, chatty. He offers them drinks. He gives them a tour. And the officers notice the smell. It hits them as soon as they step inside. A thick, sweet, chemical smell that sits in the back of the throat and does not leave. It clings to the furniture. It seeps from the walls. It is stronger near the heating vents. One of the officers asks Gacy about it. Gacy waves his hand. He says it is a problem with the drainage. Old pipes. Sewage backup in the Crawlspace. He says he has been meaning to fix it. He says it has been like that for a while. The neighbors had noticed it too, for years. The family next door had complained about the smell coming through the shared ventilation. Gacy told them the same thing. Broken sewer pipe, old house, nothing to worry about. Nobody questioned it further. Why would they? The man who throws the block party, the man who does magic tricks for children, the man who shakes hands with the First Lady of the United States. Why would anyone think the smell coming from his house was anything other than a plumbing problem? On December 19th, Kozinchuk gets a phone call from one of the officers assigned to the Gacy surveillance. The officer had been going through Gacy's trash. In one of the bags, he found a receipt, a photo-developing receipt from the Nissan pharmacy, the same pharmacy where Robert Piest worked. The receipt was dated December 11th, the day Robert vanished. Gacy had been inside that pharmacy the same night Robert disappeared. Not just in the parking lot, inside. The next day, a second discovery. Kozinchuk's team contacts Maine West High School. They are trying to track down the families of other missing young men in the area. During the conversation, a school official mentions that a class ring from Maine West was reported stolen from a student named John Sick. John Sick was 19 years old. He disappeared on January 20th, 1977. His car was found. He was never found. The ring. Kozinchuk's team had noticed a class ring during one of their visits to Gacy's home, Maine West High School. It was sitting on a dresser. The ring did not belong to Gacy. On December 21st, 1978, 10 days after Robert Piest's disappearance, Judge Marvin Peters signs a search warrant for 8213 West Summerdale Avenue. At 11:30 in the morning, a team of investigators enters the house. They begin in the living room. Photographs, civic awards, the bar. The smell is overwhelming. Sweet, chemical, rotting. Evidence technician Daniel Genty opens the trapdoor to the crawlspace beneath the house. He lowers himself down. The space is approximately 4 feet high. Dirt floor, dark, humid. The smell is so strong that Genty's eyes water immediately. He shines his flashlight across the ground. The dirt is uneven, mounds, depressions, patches where the soil has been recently turned. Genty starts probing the dirt with a pointed shovel. 6 inches down, the shovel hits something. He brushes the dirt away with his hand. A human bone. They find the first body within the hour, and then the second, and the third. Over the next several days, the excavation beneath 8213 West Summerdale Avenue uncovers 29 bodies buried in the crawlspace. Young men, teenagers. Some had been there for years. Some were buried in a thick layer of lime, which Gacy used to control decomposition and reduce the smell. The lime did not work well enough. The smell leaked through the floorboards, through the heating ducts, into every room of the house, into the neighbor's house, into the open air. The smell that Gacy blamed on a broken sewer pipe was the decomposition of 29 human beings. 4 more bodies were recovered from the Des Plaines River and the Illinois River. Gacy told investigators he had run out of room in the crawl space. When there was no more space to dig, he started dumping bodies in the water. 33 victims in total. John Wayne Gacy is arrested on December 21, 1978. He is taken to the Des Plaines police station. He waives his right to an attorney. He sits across from investigators and he talks. He talks for hours. What he says in that room is a confession unlike anything the investigators had ever heard. Not because of the number, not because of the methods, because of the tone. Gacy is calm. He describes what he did the way a contractor describes a renovation, step by step, methodical. He explains the logistics, how he recruited young men through his construction business, how he lured them into the house with offers of work, alcohol, or money. How he performed what he called the rope trick or the handcuff trick, asking the victim to put on handcuffs as part of a game, then tightening the restraints until they could not escape. He explains how he used a garrote, a tourniquet device made from a rope and a stick. He explains how he twisted the stick. He explains the crawl space, how he dug trenches in the dirt, how he placed the bodies in rows, how he used lime, how the trenches filled up over time and he had to dig new ones, how he organized them. He describes the work the way he describes pouring a foundation, as if the bodies were material. And then he says something that the lead investigator will quote in every deposition, every interview, and every courtroom appearance for the rest of his life. He says, they deserved it. He says they were worthless. He says they were prostitutes and runaways and liars, and that nobody missed them. This is what John Wayne Gacy believed. That the young men he chose, the teenagers who came to his door looking for work, the boys who climbed into his car because they needed a ride, the kids who accepted a drink because an adult offered one, that those young men were disposable. And for 6 years, the system agreed with him. John Wayne Gacy was born on March 17, 1942, in Chicago, Illinois. His father, John Stanley Gacy, was a machinist and an alcoholic. The elder Gacy beat his children regularly. He called his son a sissy. He called him stupid. He told him he would never amount to anything. The beatings were physical. Belts, fists, closed hands. John Wayne Gacy's sisters later confirmed the abuse in sworn testimony. His mother, Marion, tried to shield the children. She was not always successful. Young Gacy struggled in school. He had a congenital heart condition that prevented him from playing sports. He was overweight. He was bullied. He never graduated from high school, though he later earned a diploma through a business college and talked his way into management positions through sheer social aggression. By his mid-20s, Gacy had constructed a public identity that was the opposite of everything his father told him he was. He was a JC's man, a businessman, a handshaker, a civic leader. He married, had children, managed restaurants. He joined every club that would have him. He volunteered for every committee. The persona worked. People liked John Wayne Gacy. He was loud, generous, charismatic. He brought food to neighborhood events. He fixed things for free. He hired local kids. And then the mask cracked for the first time. Waterloo, Iowa, 1968. The teenage boys, the conviction, the prison sentence. Here is where the system made its first critical decision. John Wayne Gacy was sentenced to 10 years in the Iowa State Men's Reformatory. 10 years for the sexual assault of a minor. The parole board reviewed his case after 18 months. Gacy had been a model prisoner. He ran the prison kitchen. He organized activities. He was polite to the guards. He never caused trouble. The parole board released him after 18 months of a 10-year sentence. He moved to Chicago. He told his new neighbors he was a businessman starting fresh. Within 2 years, a teenager filed a complaint. Charges dropped. 4 years later, another complaint. Case closed. 6 years later, Robert Donnelly described being tortured for hours. Case went nowhere. 7 years later, Jeffrey Rignall gave police the exact address, no follow-up. And throughout all of this, John Wayne Gacy kept building. He built his business, he built his reputation, he built his clown persona, he built block parties and charity events and political connections, and he built the Crawlspace. The first victim that investigators were able to identify was Timothy McCoy, 16 years old. He disappeared on January 2, 1972. His body was the deepest in the Crawlspace, buried at the lowest point, beneath several other bodies. McCoy had been a bus traveler passing through Chicago. He met Gacy at a bus terminal. He accepted an invitation to stay the night. Gacy later told investigators that McCoy was his first. He said he discovered something that night. He said he discovered he enjoyed it. From 1972 to 1978, Gacy selected his victims from a specific population, young men between the ages of 14 and 21. Many of them worked for PDM contractors. Others he picked up at bus stations, on the street, or at bars. Some he lured with job offers. Some he lured with money. Some he simply offered a ride. They were working-class boys. Many came from difficult homes. Some had minor records. Some were runaways. Most had families who reported them missing immediately. But in the 1970s, a missing teenage boy in Chicago did not generate the same urgency as a missing child or a missing woman. Police departments across the metropolitan area treated these disappearances as voluntary. The boys were classified as runaways. The files were shelved. This classification was not accidental. It was systemic. The Chicago Police Department at the time had a protocol for missing persons that distinguished between abductions and runaways. A teenage boy who was last seen leaving voluntarily was almost always classified as a runaway. This classification meant minimal investigation, no search warrants, no cross-referencing with other jurisdictions. John Wayne Gacy understood this. Whether consciously or instinctively, he chose victims that the system was designed to ignore. The method was consistent: the invitation, the alcohol, the trick with the handcuffs, the garrote, the crawlspace, the lime, the repeat. Sometimes the gaps between victims were weeks, sometimes months, sometimes days. His employees noticed things. Young workers at PDM contractors would sometimes comment on the smell at the Summerdale house. Gacy told them the same thing: drainage problem, sewage backup. He had some of his own employees dig trenches in the crawlspace, telling them it was for drainage pipes. They dug graves and did not know it. His second wife, Carol Hoff, lived in the house from 1972 to 1976. She later testified that the smell was constant. It came from the crawlspace. It came through the heating system in winter, when the furnace pushed warm air through the ducts and carried the stench of decomposition into every room. Carol asked Gacy about it repeatedly. He told her the same thing every time: moisture in the crawlspace, old pipes. He would fix it eventually. Carol Hoff divorced Gacy in 1976. She later told investigators that the smell was one of the reasons she left. She did not know what the smell was. She assumed it was exactly what he said it was: a drainage problem. After she moved out, the killing accelerated. Between 1976 and 1978, Gacy buried at least 17 more bodies beneath the house. More than half of his total victims came in the final 2 years. The intervals shortened, the trenches filled. He began stacking bodies on top of each other. When there was no more room beneath the concrete slab, he dug under the garage. When the garage was full, he started driving to the Des Plaines River. Robert Piest was his last victim. December 11, 1978. The trial of John Wayne Gacy began on February 6, 1980, in the Cook County Criminal Court. The prosecution was led by William Kunkel and Terry Sullivan. They presented evidence from the excavation, forensic identification of the victims, testimony from survivors Jeffrey Rignall and Robert Donnelly, and Gacy's own detailed confession. The defense, led by Sam Amiranti and Robert Motta, entered a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. Their argument was that Gacy suffered from multiple personality disorder, that the killings were committed by an alternate personality, that the man sitting in the courtroom was not the man who twisted the garrote. The trial lasted 5 weeks. The jury deliberated for 1 hour and 50 minutes. Guilty. All 33 counts of murder. The sentence was death. Gacy spent 14 years on death row at the Menard Correctional Center in Chester, Illinois. During that time, he painted. He painted clowns. He painted portraits. He painted landscapes. His paintings were sold to collectors and curiosity seekers. Some sold for thousands of dollars. He signed them. He gave interviews. He maintained that he was innocent. He said the bodies were placed in his crawlspace by his employees without his knowledge. He said this with a straight face. He said this repeatedly. On May 10, 1994, John Wayne Gacy was executed by lethal injection at the Stateville Correctional Center in Crest Hill, Illinois. He was 52 years old. His last meal was a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken, a dozen fried shrimp, French fries, fresh strawberries, and a Diet Coke. His last words were directed at the warden. He said, "Kiss my ass." The needle went into his arm at 12:28 in the morning. He was pronounced dead at 12:58. In the years that followed, the work of identification continued. Of the 33 victims, 24 were identified through dental records, fingerprints, and family reports in the initial investigation. 9 remained unknown. They were buried in numbered graves at a cemetery in suburban Chicago. No names, no families, no headstones with anything but a number. Decades passed. Forensic technology advanced. In 2011, Cook County Sheriff Tom Dart launched a renewed effort to identify the remaining 9 victims using DNA analysis and genetic genealogy. The bodies were exhumed, DNA was extracted, profiles were uploaded to databases. Families across the country were contacted and asked to submit samples. By 2024, 6 of the 9 had been identified. William Bundy, Francis Wayne Alexander, James Byron Harkinson. Jimmy Harkinson was just 16 years old when he disappeared. His mother had reported him missing in 1976. She died in 2009. She never learned what happened to her son. 3 victims remain unidentified as of this recording. 3 young men, buried beneath the foundation of a suburban house for over 40 years. 3 families who may not even know they are waiting. The system that allowed John Wayne Gacy to operate for 6 years produced one meaningful reform. In 1984, the state of Illinois revised its missing persons protocols. Teenage boys reported missing could no longer be automatically classified as runaways without an active investigation. The change came 6 years after Robert Piest's disappearance and 12 years after Timothy McCoy became the first victim. Whether the change was sufficient is a matter of record. Between 1984 and 2020, the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System logged over 600,000 active missing persons cases in the United States. The majority of missing teenage boys were still classified as voluntary disappearances. The neighbors complained about the smell. He blamed it on a broken sewer pipe. 29 families spent decades not knowing that their sons lay beneath the foundation of a house owned by a man the whole neighborhood knew as Pogo the Clown. A man who threw block parties, a man who shook hands with the First Lady, a man who painted clowns on death row and told the warden to kiss his ass. Miles GhostHunter here. Sometimes the monster does not hide in the shadows. Sometimes he is the one organizing the parade. Next time on Miles' Ghost Hunter, Gacy hid bodies under his house. Our next killer hid a double life so perfectly that his own wife suspected nothing for 30 years. The BTK Strangler. A church president, a Boy Scout leader, and a compliance officer who filed his murders like paperwork. Episode 10. BTK, the husband next door.